Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we've got some more news coming out of Tokyo Game Show. This time we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy XV's multiplayer expansion, Comrades. Now if you didn't know this was coming, well, we had a beta for it this last summer, and it's included in every Season Pass purchase. So if you bought the Season Pass, you already own it, though of course you will be able to purchase it separately. Coming out of Tokyo Game Show, we have the official release date for the multiplayer expansion for October 31st, Halloween of this year. To be honest, I'm a little surprised that we're getting the multiplayer expansion not only before the PC release, but before we get episode Ignis in December. I really didn't expect to be getting this at this point, but you know what? I'll take it. End of October is not something I have a whole lot planned for, so I think it's coming out at just the perfect time. Now for those who aren't too familiar with it, let's go over exactly what Comrades is going to be. Now Comrades takes place in the 10-year time gap in which Noctis is in the Crystal, with surviving members of the Kingsglaive having come together in humanity's darkest hour. The Star Scourge is ravaging the lands, and what remains of the day is quickly fading. Using the city of Leshtalem as a home base, the Kingsglaive must do what they can to push back against the darkness and ensure that when Noctis returns, there is a future to fight for. Now, of course, you're probably wondering, how could it be the Kingsglaive? There's no king to give them power. Well, the Kingsglaive have resorted to using sigils of the past kings of Lucis. With these sigils, they can harness specific powers of those old kings. In order to overcome the fiends, each sigil has some strengths and weaknesses, so they have to work together to cover each other's weaknesses. The different sigils will of course play an important role in your combat and in how you want to play the game. There are definitely different roles resembling that of what you'd see in an MMO. For example, a healing sigil gives you increased healing power, a bigger range, and more MP. The offensive casting one, you can expend MP to deal more damage, or more MP to deal more damage. Tanks, they get rid of all their MP, or almost all of it. They have almost no casting capabilities, but they have massive health pools and can buff up their melee damage. And rogues specialize in swift movement and aerial combat. We'll have to see if they add more roles in the sigils when the full game comes out, but in practice it actually worked really well in the beta this last summer. Your main hub is going to be Leshtalem itself, where you'll find all the different characters you've probably seen throughout the game itself. Cid, who's going to assist you with your weapons, as well as other NPCs like Iris, and I can't remember the dude's name, the guy with the picture-taking quest. His name escapes me right now. When you actually go into a mission, each mission is going to bring together 4 members of the Kingsglaive in online matchmaking to protect buildings, clear roads, and generally wipe out fiends while you level up and collect new weapons and magic. While it is a multiplayer expansion, there will be some single-player missions that you can use to enhance your character as well. Now, as someone who played the beta this last summer, I'd like to reiterate some of my thoughts on Final Fantasy XV Comrades. It was basically like a Monster Hunter mix with Final Fantasy XV combat, and while it may not sound desirable at first, I was very impressed with how the gameplay itself actually functioned when it worked. The matchmaking in the beta was awful, and I hope that the matchmaking works better in the full game. But with all the different roles and the way that magic is tied to your weapon and not this awkward crafting system from the main game, I found that the custom character for the Kingsglaive actually had a better control scheme and feel than Noctis did in the main game, which sounds totally backwards, but if I could choose between which system for magic and weapons to have, the main game versus playing as the Kingsglaive member in Comrades, I would take the Kingsglaive member in Comrades, which is why I'm strangely optimistic for this content that before the Season Pass told me I was getting it, I would have never asked for nor expected. I want it to be successful mostly because if it's a Monster Hunter style thing where, you know, you're leveling up your characters and you're collecting new weapons and stuff like that, and it has somewhat of a story that's tied in that 10-year gap with Noctis, I think it could be good unexpectedly. I'm holding low expectations for it, but after what I played, it's on a knife's edge. That was my end thought. It's on a knife's edge of being a damn good DLC for multiplayer. It could just as easily fall flat. So I'm curious to see how it pans out, but I'm strangely optimistic for Comrades after what I played in the beta, assuming the matchmaking actually works. And on that note, that's going to be a wrap for another TGS news video. I've got a ton more to do, like Zone of the Enders 2 VR and Final Fantasy 9 on the PS4. There's a bunch of stuff I got to do. So I got to get working on that, and I got to do State of the Realm tonight. So thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned for videos and guides coming up in early November for Final Fantasy XV Comrades. I'll see you all when that actually launches. And until then, take care.